On this episode of the Naturist Living Show, goodbye YNA.
This episode of the Naturist Living Show is brought to you by Bare Oaks Family Naturist Park. At Bare Oaks, we offer traditional naturist values in a modern setting. Free your body, free your mind. www.bareoaks.ca.
Welcome, dear listener, to episode 96 of the Naturist Living Show. My name is Stéphane Deschênes, and I am your host for this episode of the podcast. I'm also the owner of Bare Oaks Family Naturist Park. And it was with sadness that I learned in the fall that Young Naturist America was going to shut down. YNA has had quite an influence in this movement in the last few years, and a good one. It's sometimes they've been controversial. People haven't always agreed, but that's okay. I think anytime you get people talking and you get people passionate about things, it's a good thing. I've certainly said things and taken stances that are not popular always with everyone, that people disagree with. Not being clothing optional, having nudity required at Bare Oaks, for example, is not something everybody agrees with. Some people are very adamant that clothing optional is the best way to be, and I respect their opinion. I think it's an interesting debate and discussion we can have. And similarly, YNA has taken positions on things and has been quite critical of groups and clubs and individuals who they feel were either not doing things right or, worse, doing a disservice to the movement. And personally, I've mostly agreed with them. But even when I didn't, I appreciated the fact that they were doing something, because most people are not. So I gave Felicity a call. Felicity used to be a regular when I made more complex shows with little segments. Now we're down to once or twice per year, it seems, where we do one episode, or at least we have been on YNA. Perhaps she'll still be doing some episodes of the Naturist Living Show, because they are going to continue a website, and she is going to continue, Jordan and her are going to continue writing and posting. But in terms of YNA as an organization, as a group, as an event organizer, it's been too much work, and they have to let it go. But I'll let Felicity tell the story. So hi, Felicity.
Hello, Stefan. How are you?
Well, I'm kind of sad because I've read your blog and that you're shutting down YNA.
Yeah.
What's up?
I'm sad too.
Yeah, why? What happened?
Yeah, we're tired. Yeah, we put in 7 years doing this organization, It's taken a toll on us emotionally, financially. We put in so much time and energy and work, and it's time for us to step back from it. And I've been doing YNA on and off full time, and Jordan has always had a full-time job with long hours. So it's always, a strain on him to be doing this on the side between his job and this. And I need to let it go to be able to do other things.
So, are you giving up on naturism?
No. No, I grew up as a naturist, as you know, as many people know, and I'm never going to be not a naturist. It's always going to be part of our lives as far as I'm concerned. But I am also going to keep a website. Our content is not disappearing. We have hundreds of articles on our website. and that's not going away. We're just going to move all of that to a new domain, a new site. All of our links will still work because, we're on top of that. And so nobody is going to have an issue like finding it or anything. And I plan to keep publishing articles and blogs and all of that. I'm not going to commit to like I'm going to be publishing every single week, but yeah, I plan to keep publishing.
So you're going to keep publishing and advocating and expressing your opinion. So when you say you're shutting down YNA, you're shutting down the organization then, is that right?
Right, we're shutting down the organization. No more memberships, no more events. The only exception is like I might do another beach cleanup next spring because I really care about cleaning up the environment. But other than that, yeah, like those are the two main things, like going away. And yeah, there just won't be a Young Naturist America anymore. And we're keeping we have a really big Facebook group of like 10,000 people, and we're planning to keep that group open on Facebook.
So what is it about running the organization that was so draining?
A lot of people have said to us, a lot of people like have been saying, oh, why can't you pass on the torch? Why can't you pass it down to some other people to take it over and run it? And we're like, yeah, we can never find the right people to do that. And we could actually, it was hard just finding volunteers to do stuff. Maybe you've experienced this at Bear Oaks. Like a lot of people have said, yeah, we understand that, when I've been like, well, we ask for volunteers, and like a lot of people will raise their hands, but then when it comes time to actually do something, like the number of people that actually do something are far, far fewer than that,
I do understand that. I mean, we with Bear Oaks, that's why with Bear Oaks it's a business, and the objective is to make it run as a business, and any volunteer help we can get is a bonus. But I learned a long time ago that a lot of people promise, but very few people actually deliver.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah, so we were incorporated, but we weren't running this as a business like Bear Oaks. I mean, it's been a labor of love, as I've called it, and just doing events alone, always like a tremendous amount of work. Like event planning is so much work, and yeah, I'd hopes, at one point I had hopes that I could find a team of people to just take over that, and then I could focus on other parts of the running organization. But yeah, that didn't happen.
In reading your blog, it seems to me that you're also tired of fighting with people. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, it's like on every level too. Like I got tired of working with nudist clubs, to be honest with you. I really did. Because at one point I was almost going to write an article about all the reasons why it became difficult for us to work with clubs. Like for doing our gatherings, when we would meet up at clubs. It's like some of them just like didn't even see a value in like bringing our group in and didn't want to make accommodations for us. And other clubs, it was like I was arguing with them just like about basic logical like issues that seem so logical to me to like for them to change. Like I fought with this one club about not charging people to come in to their club at 10 p.m., like charging a day fee. And it just like, this doesn't make any sense. That just drove me nuts.
What do you mean they charge after 10 p.m.?
Like if somebody comes into Bear Oaks, you charge them for the day if they come in at 10 o'clock at night.
Well, are they staying overnight?
Yeah, so pay for camping, right? They pay for their
Oh.
overnight.
No, we
I
never
don't,
charge for the arrival date. So if you stay 2 nights, you only pay 2 days. That's our policy. So it doesn't matter.
okay.
You could actually arrive in the morning and you get an extra day if you will. But our policy is because for exactly the reason you say, most people arrive late in the afternoon on Friday, so we're not going to charge them for Friday. That doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I was gonna say, I don't know how you do your fees there, but like, yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. And it's like we invited friends to go up to this one club, and then they were like so surprised to arrive late and be charged at that hour. And um, it's just so much stuff like that. Like, I've fought with clubs over things like that, and uh, just like, yeah, I guess maybe other clubs just have not wanted to make accommodations for us, even if it's like, hey, we're coming for this one weekend of the season. And you would think that if they really want more people coming in, more members, more exposure, that they could keep the facilities open a little bit later for us, or that they could extend their curfew for us.
You've also had fights with other youth organization, shall we say?
Yeah, yeah, they've never completely gone away. There's there's one group in Florida in particular, and most people know who I'm talking about, and I'm not even gonna name them, but yeah, they trash talked us to the end. We announced we're closing. They had not one nice thing to say about us. They just formed a little hate thread in their own little group and said mean things, and we're happy that we were closing, had nothing nice to say about what we had achieved, and that was that was our goodbye. Yeah, they always made things.
So what has been the overall reaction to you closing? What kind of have you been dealing with a lot of comments and reactions?
The overall reaction has been people are sad. People are sad. People are upset by it. They're sad we're closing. They're like, what can we do? There were people asking us how much money we would have to raise in order to keep this open. we had a lot of supporters. We really did. A lot of people who really liked what we were doing and wanted to see us last for a long time. So yeah, we've had to respond to a lot of comments, a lot of emails. Yeah.
So what happens to the things that you used to do as YNA, the events you used to host? They don't happen anymore?
Yep.
Do you think anybody will pick up the slack?
Yeah. I really do think that they will, but it's hard to say, maybe because a lot of nudist groups just like come and go sometimes, People try to start something and then they quickly give up and it disappears.
Yeah. This is still the only podcast that's been going on 9 years now. And
Right.
a few people
Yeah.
have done podcasts. They do one or two, and then they seem to realize it's a lot of work, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'd say can happen with the nudist groups also. Same thing, you can compare it to that. Yeah, because I've seen groups come and go too. But no, I think there will be other groups that will come up. There's already one that I've talked to that they've been doing men only. They've been like mainly a gay male group in the New York City area, and they just emailed us because they started wanting to do all gender events. So there's like them, for example, given that they stick around. And I think there will be more groups. But people definitely realize that us leaving is like a void now.
Yeah. What happens to Body Painting Day?
Well, we weren't involved in that this year.
You weren't?
And no, we had our differences with the organizer. So we parted ways. Yeah.
I see. I think your biggest challenge is that you were trying to run a club without boundaries, without a place. I got to tell you, I think it's a lot easier with me with Bare Oaks because it is a place, and so that gives it more focus. Some ways you were international, some ways you were national, some ways you were around New York. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. Definitely would have been easier to have a place of our own. We were, a non-landed club and went from place to place like other non-landed clubs do, and we would go to a lot of different skinny dipping places and go hiking or visit certain clubs, go to the beach. Yeah, I mean, we always had nice turnout and like good people show up. And we definitely had a core group of people that would come to a lot events, or at least often enough that we knew them for a couple of years. And that helped a lot, actually. I think that's part of the challenge of starting a group initially when you don't really know anybody in the community even, and you're trying to get something going. Once you have that core group of people that belong, it becomes easier.
I think until you've organized a big event, you don't realize how much work it is to just do one event, right? Whether it's
Yeah.
organizing
Yeah.
an outing somewhere or a swim or a
Yeah.
volleyball tournament, it's a lot of work.
Even the simple events are a lot of work. We coordinate carpooling for people because it's hard to get around to a lot of places here. On public transportation, you basically can't. And just doing that, answering emails, and it's like a lot of times it was like herding cats, like
I know.
HERD, like herding the cats together.
For years, we've been, trying to get people to sign up for our volleyball tournaments ahead of time, and a few people do, but the vast majority don't. Which means until the day of, you don't know how many teams you're going to have, how many courts you need, how many porta potties you're going to need for everyone, how much food you have to serve, because people won't commit. And we had a great tournament this year. Don't get me wrong. Most teams we ever had, 18 teams. Which actually was surprising because it was actually a very rainy summer in Toronto. But yeah, that's the challenge. You go, wow, that was great. We would have had more stuff if we knew so many people were going to come.
Yeah, it was always like that. People don't want to sign up or whatever until the last minute. We always experience that too.
So what are you telling people? What are you telling your followers? Where should they go? What's taking over from what you're doing?
Well, right now, I don't. It's not like I have another group to point them to necessarily. That's doing what we were doing. I mean, there's one other group here that's been established for a long time, which is the Long Island Travisons, and they still do pool parties out in Long Island. That's their monthly event. And yeah, like unfortunately for the tri-state area, I don't think I have any other kind of group like ours to recommend to people. Which is why I was saying people now see a void existing here. But I'm still hopeful that another group will come and fill that void.
So if somebody showed up and said, "I will do YNA, give it to me, I'll take over," would you let them?
There would have to be a lot of conversations because there's a lot at stake. I mean, we built something. I would hate to give it to somebody only to see them go back on their word and walk away. I would hate to give it to somebody who would just kind of let it slowly die or just do the wrong thing. I mean, turn it into something it shouldn't be, misinterpret what naturism is or anything like that. But, so far there's just been a lot of people who are like, why can't you give it to somebody? But not nobody who's been like, hey, I think I could, even by myself or even with the help of other people, keep this going. Like, no one has volunteered for that. So,
Really? That's
yeah.
surprising. Well, so
Yeah, it is and it isn't. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, like, I feel like in the nudist world or maybe beyond the nudist world, they're like, they say we want events, we want this, but they're not willing to step up and help make it happen.
well, how was the summer for YNA? Did you guys have a good summer? Did you do events? How did things go?
Yeah, we did. We did. It was good. We did, our last event was we did our first beach cleanup at Gunnison. We went and picked up trash. And
Nice.
like kind of supports what I've been saying is that, for that event was the smallest turnout I think we had for anything all summer because about 11 people showed up. Which was like disappointing. I actually am thinking to do another cleanup next spring. I would hope that more people would show up and understand why it's important to do a beach cleanup at the nude beach. But yeah, we still collected a lot of garbage, and it was a positive event and had a positive relationship, with the ranger who helped us out. So it was good. And we did a lot of outings to the beach otherwise, and we went to upstate New York, and we went to Dyer Woods in Rhode Island, and we did a second gathering. I think it was our third gathering there. We've been going to Dyer Woods for a couple of years, coordinating with people there and doing a weekend-long gathering on 4th of July. And that went really well, and yeah. And I did a photography project at Gunnison Beach, which a lot of people have been asking about because I haven't published it yet, but I'm going to. It's going to be on our new website, and people will be able to see it there. I photographed and interviewed over a dozen people on the beach, people who visit Gunnison, whether they only been there for the first time this summer, or whether they've been going there for 30 years, all kinds of different people. We photographed them, and I sent them interview questions, and I'm going to publish that hopefully soon.
What was your biggest event? What was your most successful event this summer?
Probably it was our gathering at Dyer Woods.
How many people?
I think some 60 people came to that.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, our gatherings have been bigger than that in the past, but Dyer Woods is kind of still new for us, and it's also a bit further than we've ever gathered at, because it's a good 5 hours away from us in the city. So yeah, it was a good turnout, and a really good group of people came, and we had all kinds of activities we planned. We had yoga, and we had volleyball, and we had glow-in-the-dark UV body painting. We had a crystal bowl meditation concert. We had a naked bounce house. It was a lot of fun. Slip and slide, all that fun stuff.
Well, sounds so. Like, how are you going to replace all the income you were making from YNA?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm letting go of all of our riches.
Yeah, 7 years. How much money do you think you made in 7 years?
Yeah, so I'll have to find a different way to make my millions. No, we know, in truth, like, I don't think we ever covered our expenses really in full. Yeah, we hoped, like, at most, like, we would break even at the end of the year, and yeah, we were never in this for the money. Like, I've been bizarrely called out as being commercial, like YNA is too commercial, which is like an absurd thing for someone to say, because yeah, it was never a commercial project for us. It was always like we put our hearts and souls into it, not for the money, but to make change, to do positive, make positive change for the naturist movement, and bring our values into it, and get more people into it.
And see, to a certain extent, I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying, to a certain extent, this is the problem in the naturist movement. For 100 years, it's always been, the a volunteer thing. People were very idealistic and trying to make a better world, and I'm guilty of that too. But we can have a debate whether capitalism is right, and we can debate whether money is evil, but that is the world we live in, and you cannot be self-sustaining if you don't generate a profit. And people should never criticize a naturist group for making money. You should celebrate it. We should, if there is, I don't know how much Bare Necessity makes, but it seems like a relatively successful business. And
Yeah.
we should celebrate that, because it would not have continued as long as it did if people weren't able to make a living at it.
I
And
totally agree. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, we have been criticized by people who have pointed out that we're not a nonprofit, and hinting at the fact that, or you're trying to say that we're like in it for the money, or that it would be an issue if we were to make any kind of profit or pay ourselves for the work that we do. Yeah, we've always tried to say that there's nothing wrong with that.
if you were making $100,000 a year at YNA, I bet you wouldn't be quitting today.
No, I wouldn't.
And if you wanted to quit, somebody would probably take it over if you could make $100,000 a year, happily so.
Yeah, let's say I wanted to quit. We'd probably be, other people would either be taking it over the company, we'd be selling it, who knows? It would be a completely different situation for sure.
I hear people sometimes say, oh, I'm in naturism because I can go to all these clubs and it's so much cheaper than going to a hotel. Why? That's just wrong. Like, are you in naturism because you're trying to save money, which is kind of the wrong motivation, in my opinion?
I've never even heard somebody say that, because they find it cheaper to stay in a nudist resort instead of like a clothing, like textile.
Yes. I've heard that many times, and that's because a lot of clubs in the U.S. undercharge for their amenities, for their accommodations. Now, sometimes they're pretty primitive, so maybe there's a valid reason to do it. But yeah, no, I've heard many people say how they save money by vacationing in naturist clubs.
That is so weird.
Yeah,
and
I want to say, raise your prices, people.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like clubs are overcharging, but we've tried to negotiate with clubs to lower the rates for young people to come in, and I've also not felt that the same way about accommodations in clubs, only because I found that a lot of them tend to be really subpar.
Well, see, you're not complaining of overcharging. You're complaining about the value you're getting. See, the ideal thing, it's like Starbucks. People complain about how expensive the coffee is, and they keep buying it because they appreciate the experience, right?
But definitely, you're overcharging if you're charging $50 a night to stay in an RV that is filled with mold.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's a problem. The problem is a combination of, sometimes the AP clubs are undercharging, but then sometimes they are not providing value. It's not just price, it's value.
Yeah.
People keep going to Disney World. That's not cheap. There's way cheaper amusement parks. Why do they go to Disney World? They appreciate the experience, and they don't mind paying the outrageous prices that they pay for Disney World.
Yeah. That's true. I guess there are clubs that have nice enough accommodations that makes sense, but I don't even understand those. I really don't understand that.
Well, yeah.
I've never heard anybody say that. I'm going to be thinking about that now. It's so weird.
No, I've heard that several times, and that's always been like, well, I swore that's one of the things that I was never going to do at Bare Oaks. And so people say, well, your price is a little bit high. And I say, well, I think our prices are fair and comparable to the area, but they're definitely not on the lower end. If you want the cheapest naturist experience, you should go to Hanlon's Point, and I'll show them how to get there. Hanlon's Point being a nude beach in Toronto. And yeah, absolutely, for a few dollars, they can get on the beach. But if they want a restaurant and they want service and they want a pool and a hot tub and a sauna and a lounge and events and everything immaculate, you got to pay more.
Mm-hmm.
So, but people complain that naturists are cheap. I don't think naturists are cheap. I think that they've been taught that to get substandard service in most cases. There are nice places. I'm not saying that all places are nice, but there are a ton of naturist nudist clubs that are dated and, as you said, moldy, not well maintained. And the biggest offense is poor customer service.
Yeah.
You're not doing anybody a favor by going to a club. You're doing you're doing them a favor by being their guest, but it's not the other way around. They're not doing you a favor by letting you come in, which is the attitude sometimes of some of the owners.
Yeah, we've encountered that many times.
So you're gonna keep criticizing all this stuff, right? You're gonna keep writing.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm not gonna shut up.
Good. Keep making people mad. If you're making them mad, you must be doing something right.
Exactly. That's what we've always said. Yeah.
So I'm not suggesting that we should be having this infighting, because it can be very destructive. But we need to be constantly, not accepting things, and we need to be criticizing the people who are not doing it right. There is an ideology behind this, and a lot of people don't get it, and so we have to keep talking so that people understand what we're about.
Yeah, I agree.
So what will people do if they want to keep following you? What's going to happen? What's the reality here? YNA is shutting down. What happens to the website?
It's going to be redirected. So eventually, in the next month or two, when they just type in youngnaturistsamerica.com, they will be automatically redirected to whatever new domain we end up using.
So all those great articles that you and others have written are still going to be available?
Right. Yeah.
Good. And you're still going to be writing more things?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. How are you going to sustain that? No income at all?
Well, we're really downscaling our expenses as far as running the website and all that. We're moving to a cheaper hosting scenario, and we're just getting rid of a lot of our expenses that we don't even need anymore at this point. So it's not going to be expensive to maintain, to keep this website online. And maybe I'll have a donation button. So if people like what I'm writing, they can send me a little donation.
And we're still going to see you on the beaches?
Well, I'm not really a beach person.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard to even say beaches plural in the Northeast, because we really have one beach left, which is Gunnison Beach. And I'm not a huge fan of that beach, all things considered. But yeah, we're still going to be around. We're still going to be visiting clubs. Maybe even we'll get to Canada next summer. We'll be able to travel more because we're not doing a YNA event every other weekend. So yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll just get around more than ever.
Well, if I get to see you in Jordan at Bear Oaks, then I'm not happy that wine is shutting down, but I'm less sad.
Good. Yeah. It would be nice.
Well, you can still follow what they do. You can still comment. As you heard, they're going to archive everything that they've written. It'll still be available. But you can help also this movement by you yourself supporting people who do things, supporting groups, supporting your local groups, supporting national groups. And if you don't like what they do, getting involved, not just criticizing, but getting involved to make change. Because no matter what you're talking about, most organizations are receptive to change. It may not be always easy because, sometimes places are like dinosaurs and they don't move very quickly. But especially an organization like YNA or the Federation of Canadian Naturists or British Naturism or Australian Naturists or New Zealand Naturists, or you name the organization, they are all volunteer driven. They have boards of directors. So if you volunteer and you get involved, you can make change. It can take a while, and sometimes it can be very frustrating, as I will tell you with my experience with the INF and the International Naturist Federation. But I still think I made a difference. I still think things are changing now, continuing to change now as a result of some of the things I've done and said. I had to be the bad guy in some way, but that's what sometimes you have to do if you want to make change and you want to make things happen. So I hope you get involved. I hope you don't get discouraged by what Felicity is doing. They didn't need to do this for the rest of their lives. They did their part, and now they're moving on. And now it's somebody else's turn. So that's all for this episode of the Naturist Living Show. Thank you so much for listening and for all these years that we've been doing this. Again, my name is Stéphane Deschênes, and I'm your host, and I do this show with a lot of help from Sean Mitchell, who makes it all so much easier by doing all the complex editing and putting it all together for me. You can find links to the things that we've mentioned, not as many in this show, but you can find links regularly on our website, which is naturistliving.bareoaks.ca. And please keep sending us comments at naturistliving@bareoaks.ca. Or call and leave a comment, 905-473-6060, extension 333, or toll free 1-888-373-9124, or Skype us at Bare Oaks, and always extension 333. I hope you enjoyed this episode and that you'll join us again for the next episode of the Naturist Living Show.
This episode of the Naturist Living Show was brought to you by Bare Oaks Family Naturist Park. Traditional naturist values in a modern setting. Traditional values means that naturism is more than just taking your clothes off. It is a life philosophy with physical, psychological, environmental, social, and moral benefits. Bare Oaks Family Naturist Park strives to promote those naturist values in a modern setting that provides the amenities and services that our members and visitors expect. Free your body, free your mind. Learn more at www.bareoaks.ca.